Gotta grab my food and I'll be back in a
30
second.
times more than an ordinary metal and still spring back to its original size.
I can feel it in my hands shrinking back.
Because of these unique properties, it's being used in everything from medical devices to toys to bulletproof bike tires. Here you go. And it's allowing NASA to reinvent the wheel for space exploration.
This is the bones of the tire.
The bones of the tire is a slinky.
So basically, this is the slinky applied to the rim.
You just wrapped a slinky around a rim.
Yeah, it doesn't get any simpler than that, right? Here is a bicycle that has slinkies inside a polymer, if you look inside there.
This tire does not require air pressure to work. The structure and shock absorption are all provided by that metal slinky.
So that's like around 100 PSI, or what a normal road bike would feel like.
Yeah.
Which means you should be able to puncture it with no loss of performance. So we're gonna drive it over a bed of nails. But first, we'll test a traditional pneumatic tire, just to make sure these nails are sharp.
Another puncture, another flat tire.
This one kind of expected. So now I'm going to put these airless tires to the test, driving over the same bed of nails. Here we go. I heard a lot of pops. I must have hit some nails. I don't feel anything different. Still rides well. I'm gonna get up some speed.
That's definitely a nail.
Like the nail broke in it? Why is it?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, the nail's in the tire.
We're now gonna try to shoot a bullet into the tire and see what happens.
3, 2, 1.
There it is.
There it is.
Woo, look at that! Wow. It's a really clean shot straight through.
Yep. Barely even see the mark on the tire. Looks like this one actually hit the
Alloy?
Yep, it does to me.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
You can see we spliced off some of the bullet before we even got to the cardboard.
How's it ride?
Yeah, no problems. Bulletproof bicycle.
This bulletproof bike tire actually comes out of NASA's research into making wheels for space missions. It is really hard to make good wheels for other planets. I mean, a lot of the places we want to send rovers to, there is no or very low atmospheric pressure.
We can't use rubber pneumatic tires because of the extreme conditions on the Moon and Mars. There's no confining pressure outside of it. It could basically explode.
Besides, with temperatures dropping to extreme lows, rubber becomes brittle.
If this were a flagpole, the temperature facing the sun would be 250 degrees Fahrenheit above zero. In the shadow is 250 degrees below zero. Let's put some rubber on the moon. -90 is the glass transition temperature. It's when the polymer goes from being flexible to a rigid element.
This is what happens when you dip rubber in liquid nitrogen.
Kaya's gone.
That's why you can't send rubber to the moon.
She's roaming the streets.
This is why almost all the wheels used for exploring other planets have been made of hard metal.
This is actually a spare for the Curiosity rover. It's made out of aluminum, a single billet that gets machined down so you don't have to worry about fasteners or welds or anything like that that could potentially be a failure point.
But with it being so expensive to launch matter into space, the wheels have to be as lightweight as possible.
It's light-ish.
Ha ha ha, the wheels on the bus go round and round. Ha 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 ha.
But it's still heavy.
To meet those mass limitations, they made this skin 0.7 millimeters thick.
Thinner than a credit card.
Yep. These structural members here.
You good, bro? Okay, dude. Okay. Y'all are just like fake ass fucking. You are fake ass politics fans, dude. You're literally fucking fake ass politics fans.
Go round and round. On the bus, go round and round.
You're fucking fake, all of you. You're all fake. You don't even love Kamala Harris like I do. You don't even have like, you can't even name one of her albums, let alone 3. Tell me 3 times Kamala Harris is engaged in mass incarceration. Okay? You can't. You can't. You're fucking fake. You're a phony. You're a phony. Okay? You couldn't even immediately figure out that Kamala Harris gaffe. Okay? You're phony. You're fake. Exactly. Can't. Tell me 5 of Joe Biden's favorite racism moments. You can't.
Here, which we also call grousers.
I was going to show this to my professor for your political analysis on government-funded science pursuits, and all I've got is wheels on the bus go round and round, haha. Well, that's your mistake. Never show me to your professors. Because then they start using me in their classrooms, which is weird. You tried quoting this man? Drake was seen rocking a Hard Feelings Harder Dick hoodie last night in Miami. Oh, god damn it. He's so whack.
They're there to give the wheel strength, but also
this is why I didn't fucking post Drake
and
lyrics.
Help grab the soil. The problem is that because this rover is so large and heavy and the terrain is just so aggressive and nasty, they're actually seeing much higher peak loads kind of focused on areas between these grousers than what was predicted. And this is the actual condition of the wheels on Mars right now. And as you can see, got big holes and cracks where that skin was. Now the wheel still operates, hasn't immobilized the rover, it's still going to complete its mission, but it does affect where it can go and how efficient it is.
When you apply a force to a material, that is known as a stress. And what you're really doing is tugging on all the atoms inside the object. And as a result, their spacing changes a little bit, and so the material deforms. For example, if you pull on an object, it will get slightly longer. And the per unit change in length is called strain. Now, for most materials under low stresses, strain is directly proportional to the stress applied. I mean, the more you stress it, the more it stretches. And the material is elastic. If you remove the stress, the object goes back to its original size. So no atoms have moved around and no bonds have been broken or formed. You've just made them flex when you applied that stress. But if the stress applied exceeds the yield strength of the material, well then the strain is so great that the atoms can't maintain their positions relative to each other. Defects called edge dislocations can move through the material. The atoms are actually rearranging themselves, and so the deformation is not reversible. It's plastic deformation. So the object won't go back to its original shape when the stress is removed. If enough stress is applied, the material can completely fracture. In the worst case scenario, this results in holes like in the Mars rover wheels, which reduce their performance and ultimately could jeopardize the mission. Ordinary metals can withstand a strain of only around 0.3 to 0.8% elastically. Any more than that, and they undergo plastic deformation, so they won't return to their original shape. Ultimately, they could even fracture.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, and you kinked it too.
Kinked it and stretched it. And that's why every component of a space vehicle is designed never to stretch more than that 0.3 to 0.8%. But that's a significant limitation. There is a different type of wheel that NASA has tried in space, which are those on the Apollo Lunar Roving Vehicle, or LRV.
Fake.
That particular structure that they built
Not real.
is something that
Fake.
we call pantograph. All it is it's a set of wires that have been over, under woven.
And this
fake.
on the surface here to get grip, also to strengthen?
It's primarily to ensure that the tire does not sink into the ground. So they did some studies with these tread strips to figure out how much coverage they needed. And so they found out that roughly 50% was enough to keep the tire kind of floating on the surface and still maintain that flexibility.
The Lunar Roving Vehicle wheels worked well for the short distance journeys traveled on the moon. I mean, the farthest this vehicle ever went was 36 kilometers. But still, these wheels needed to be designed to minimize plastic deformation of the steel mesh.
And so they put this internal structure inside there. We call it a bump stop. So as they hit a bump, and this is deformed, when it hits that, it stops the deformation to keep it just below that proportional limit where they would induce plasticity.
This wheel was good enough for the short Apollo missions, but for longer journeys, a bump stop won't be enough to prevent plastic deformation building.
I only care about bump stocks, brother. Tell me when the NASA scientists invent that.
up over time. Mesh steel wheels have been tried on Earth, but their performance does degrade over time.
This was the Mars steel spring tire we made and drove on that same test rig, and there's no fracture, but you see a lot of permanent deformation there.
What we need is a material that is strong and durable like steel, but which can endure much more strain.
Look at this, bro. Do you regret any allegations against XQCKs? Like, brother, you watched a fucking clip chimp. You got mad at XQC's wrong interpretation of a clip chimp. You came in here and wanted to continue sparking drama. Your life is so pathetic, brother. Please don't kiss yourself, please. Like, you have to understand, you are such a gigantic fucking loser, man. I cannot like he followed. There's a 10-minute follow marker. He waited for that to go on. Sat for 15 more minutes and was like, now's the time. He cracked his fucking knuckles and was like, I'm going in. It's so pathetic, brother. Like, even if there was, I'm going to be honest with you. Even if there was like some serious shit, you know what I mean? Even if I literally was like, XQC's abusive or whatever he fucking thought I was saying, which I didn't. Even then, coming in here and being like, dog, I got you on this. Like, how do you fucking feel about that? Like, this is what you want to, this is what you want to fucking dedicate your life to, really? Like, really? It's so crazy. I want to unban this guy just to hear what his like brain and hear how his brain works. Now he's getting what he wants. No, it's just like such a fucking loser. Like, he's like a different kind of being. Like, at this point, this is a person who has like lost his humanity. You know what I mean? Almost entirely, completely given up on trying to be a fucking normal human, and is like gone down the fucking deep end. Like, this is Twitch streamer drama that's gonna go away in like the next fucking 3 hours. You're hollowed out, brother. You're trying to fucking extend it. Do something valuable with your fucking life. Holy shit, you are such a pathetic loser. Some of these motherfuckers on this platform are so fucking pathetic, dude. Jesus Christ.
Without deforming permanently.
Anyway, let's
And
continue.
that is where this stuff comes in. In 1961, the Naval Ordnance Laboratory was doing experiments with different alloys involving nickel and titanium. A sample that had been repeatedly worked, heated, and cooled was shown to one of the associate technical directors, who just happened to be a pipe smoker. So he decided to see what the sample would do if he applied a bit of heat from his lighter. And when he did that, he found that the material changed shape. This shocked everyone and led to more investigations into the material, which became known as nitinol for its components, nickel and titanium, and for the Naval Ordnance Laboratory where it was discovered. So why did nitinol change shape? Well, it's really because the alloy can undergo a phase change in the solid state.
It phases
In
up.
heated nitinol, the atoms are arranged in a cubic lattice arrangement, and this phase is known as austenite. But upon cooling, the atoms ease into a form known as twinned martensite. It's a messier, lower symmetry arrangement of the atoms. And in this phase, you can apply stress to the material and deform it. But unlike in an ordinary metal, this deformation is not causing bonds between atoms to break and edge dislocations moving throughout the material. Now, in this case, the crystal structure is changing once again to a detwinned form of martensite. And now, when you heat it back up, the material...
I unbanned that fucking freakazoid, but I will ban you if you like immediately, for no reason, rush to defend a person who is literally a hollowed out shell. Okay? I don't give a fuck how many fucking weeks you've been in here, how many months you've fucking given me money. I don't care. It just immediately demonstrates that your brain is so broken that you will You will literally go and defend a loser on a fucking sock account who's trying to make drama. You're so fucking stupid. You're stupider than that guy. That guy's pathetic. He has no fucking friends. He has no prospects. He's not hitting the fucking gym. He's got nothing going on in his life. And you got duped by that guy. You got duped by that guy. And now you're defending that guy who doesn't even care about this shit. Okay? That's so stupid, dog. I'm banning you for your own sake. I'll unban that guy because maybe that guy's salvageable, but I don't think you are. Go do 25 push-ups. 5 times 5, okay? I'm not expecting you to be able to do 25 push-ups in a row. Do 5 push-ups and then do that 5 times and then come back in here and maybe I'll unban you. Okay? Do it right now.
Material goes from martensite back to being austenite, which means all the atoms go back to their original locations, and so the material returns to its original shape.
We can basically set this shape as the parent known memory shape. That's why we call it shape memory. I can stretch this out. If I cooled it down, I could stretch it out even more, but as soon as I heat it back up, it'll remember that original parent shape.
And that's why nitinol is considered a shape memory alloy. The shape is set at high temperature when the material is in the austenite phase. Then, as the material is cooled down, it undergoes a phase transition into twinned martensite. If stress is now applied to the material in this phase, it can be extensively deformed by changing the crystal structure into detwinned martensite. When the stress is released, most of that deformation remains. But when the sample is heated, the atoms return to the austenite phase, which returns the material to its original shape.
Oh, fuck, I did it.
But when the sample is heated, the atoms return to the austenite phase, which returns the material to its original shape.
It's like you're barely in the water.
No,
and
it's
it just
as fast as you can conduct heat to it or get heat away from it.
Whoa. I mean, that's cool.
This is the property of nitinol that most people are aware of, and one that makes it useful for a lot of applications.
So that's a stint.
They slightly cool these down right below to martensite, and then they crush it or elongate it. So you can see it gets real thin. And then they put in a catheter, and that catheter goes through the body to the place where they want to deploy the stent. And then upon deploying it, it bounces right back, increasing that outer diameter and opening that artery. Nitinol is absolutely perfect for that.
Shape memory alloys can actually generate significant forces when they're heated, which means they can also be used as actuators.
You're going to see a huge amount of force and stress build up in the wire, which we can see with here, which how much it's pulling.
6 pounds, 7.
What I care about is when they're going to mass produce these shit so I can use it on my fucking Porsche when I'm driving down the mean streets of Southern California, Los Angeles. And it... Hide. Good or missing? Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, when will I be able to fucking avoid potholes? Because that shit looks like the craters in Mars, okay? These shits are going to demolish roads? Well, too late. Titanium is way too valuable to waste it on take hussy? That's what you think.
You can really see it contracting there. 13, 15, 16, 17, 20 pounds. Oh, it's lifting it.
That's about 90 newtons of force. Scientists have even used shape memory alloys to fracture a rock. Shape memory alloys are being investigated for use in aviation. I made a video before about vortex generators, which are these little fins that stick up out of the wing of a plane to trip the airflow into turbulence. This is important for takeoff and landing, to keep the flow attached to the wing so you don't stall.
But when you're up at cruise and you don't need those vortices being generated, you want these to stow because they're a drag penalty. As the plane just climbs from takeoff to cruise, we go from some temperature on the ground to something close to -50, -60 C at cruise. The alloy is designed in between those so that we can just take advantage of the ambient temperature change that happens in the environment. When we cool this one down, no controller, no operator, it autonomously stows flat.
The temperature at which the material transitions between austenite and martensite can be tuned to be anywhere between -150 to positive 350 degrees Celsius. This is done by changing the ratio of the elements and using different heat treatments.
And then as that would heat back up, coming into landing,
How doesn't it wear? Like, why doesn't it wear and tear after, like, that heat treatment, cold treatment? Like, how many times can you fucking do that without the metal, like, actually losing? It's metal. Not past the fracture point. Really? The bonds between atoms aren't breaking? But it doesn't matter. There's no way that it doesn't fucking... That's the entire point of the metal, bro. He just explained it. No, the entire point of the metal is that it can do this, but over like an entire lifetime, there's no way that that kind of movement doesn't inevitably fucking break it a little bit. Because there's no plastic deformations. Whereas from plastic deformations, as long as you don't get past the fracture point, you're good. What the fuck? There's no, like, it doesn't degrade at all?
comes right back up.
It literally breaks my brain. I feel like it's supposed to, right? Like, it's supposed to. That doesn't make any sense. That it. I'm talking about, like, yeah, it can be like very durable, but like it. Have you been watching the video? I have, but I'm stupid, so I don't really understand it.
This principle has been extended to operate the main flaps on an aircraft.
It doesn't make sense in my brain.
Now, the heating and cooling is not passive, but controlled by a heating element.
So we've done demonstrations where you have a 737 aircraft and no hydraulic actuators on the wing box. All we have is a shuttle mechanism that's driven by 2 tubes of nitinol, and we've driven those ailerons and flap elements on the wing box of a 737 in flight, 60 degrees flap angle down, 30 degrees flap angle up, just by heating and cooling 2 tubes of nitinol. Replaces all the hydraulics.
The shape memory effect is the main thing people know about materials like nitinol. But they have another unique property, which makes them ideal for making durable wheels.
And you're just gonna take it and you're gonna loop it a couple times around your hand like that, and you're just gonna pull on that wire and feel 6 to 8% strain in a piece of metal.
Oh, that's really weird.
That's 6 to 8% strain, which you can't do in other wires, right?
But what's weird about it is that it feels a little crunchy.
It feels, because you're feeling all of the reorientations.
Oh, so weird.
So cool though, right?
Yes, very cool. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
How weird is that?
That pinging is 20.
Shape memory alloys can stretch up to 8% of their length and still spring back to their original size. This property is known as superelasticity or pseudo-elasticity, but they're kind of misnomers because the material is not actually operating in its elastic regime. What's actually happening is that this nitinol is in the austenite phase. Its transition temperature is lower than room temperature. But by applying a stress, even with no temperature change, you can force the crystal structure to change from austenite into detwinned martensite. And this rearrangement allows the nitinol to deform by that 8%. And still, it'll snap back.
It just has a gum fruit, dude. I get it now. That's fine. That's it. You know how, like, you can make a sword eat like a fruit in the One Piece universe? Like the elephant fruit or whatever? It's the same principle. They took a fucking metal string and they made it eat the gum fruit.
To its original configuration once the stress is removed and the atoms return to the austenite phase. That sound you're hearing is the material undergoing a stress-induced phase change in the solid state. If you want to think about it on a stress-strain curve, now this transformation is occurring entirely above the martensite transition temperature. So the material starts off in the austenite phase, and then the applied stress is what induces the phase change from austenite to detwinned martensite. And when that stress is removed, the atoms spring back to the austenite phase, and so the material goes back to its original size and shape.
If this were a normal tube, I would bend it to here and it would plasticize. If it was a brass tube, which has a plastic buckling mode, it would go like this and it would actually buckle the wall. I would never take my hands and bend them like this and have it completely return to shape.
At the bend, the nitinol is transforming from austenite to martensite and back.
When we go from the higher symmetry phase, the austenite, to the lower symmetry daughter phase, which one is it? Exothermic or endothermic?
I feel like that should be exothermic.
Good job, science guy. If you were to put your hand around this tube, you'll actually feel the heat energy, the enthalpy of that transformation evolving as heat. You ready?
Yep. Oh yeah, that's real hot.
Oh, that actually is like burning. Like I can't keep my hands on it.
No, keep your
Oynasın, bir şey olmaz. What does she have in her mouth? Your slipper? She just ran away with it. What the hell? It goes through plastic deformation and back to normal again without any displacement. This is sorcery. Please don't watch it. It's haram. It's not. Dude, the same thing literally happens at the top of the hour. When you buy a $5 a month subscription, you don't see the fucking ads. You know what I mean? There's no wear. There's no displacement. You have an uninterrupted. It's like a scientific method for having an uninterrupted broadcast experience. It's just science. Like people who are giving me low scores don't understand the science behind it. Okay? It's in a similar principle. This is how it works. There's no displacement of the stream with ads. And that's how it works. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Speed Razor, thank you for allowing 5 people to have no displacement from the stream. At the top of the hour, here's a 3-minute ad right now. Speed Razor gifted 5, get the subs.
Your hand on it. It won't burn you.
When the stress is removed and the material goes back to being austenite, that phase change is endothermic. It absorbs heat.
Right? It's like you could use that for a refrigerator.
So it's exactly right. So another area where these materials are being applied is in a field called elastocalorics, where we use this transformation to do things like equivalent to heat pumping.
I want to shoot this with our thermal camera. We got a FLIR with us. How's that?
This dissipation potential can act a little bit like the dissipation in the shock absorber, right? So the tire itself could actually perform some of that dissipation potential on its own.
It almost acts as a damper.
Right.
To get rid of that energy loss, so then your tire actually has a potential of becoming a complete suspension system, which obviously really simplifies building vehicles for space. The original tire, when I put load on it, okay, you can see I'm only transferring a load from the footprint to this little section of the tire, all right? By tying this bump stop element to here, when I go through a footprint, you can see now I'm transferring load 360 degrees around the tire, all right? By doing that, I have now increased my load carrying capacity significantly without adding any more mass.
So to make a tire out of shape memory alloy, they weave nitinol springs together into a mesh. It's a pretty tedious and time-consuming process.
So you're going to take it like so.
Yep.
You're going to grab both ends.
No.
And now take it.
No, you're not.
Take it.
Yeah.
And screw it in.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Is this what you do every day?
684 times.
684 times
per tire.
But will these wheels work on rovers on the moon and Mars? Well, they test the wheels extensively on a rotating carousel of different terrain types, from sand to small rocks to bigger rocks.
So the terrain endurance rig basically consists of a circular carousel that is independently driven. The wheel tire assembly is also independently driven, so we can create a forced slip condition, so we can drive with zero slip. And this is about how slow a Mars rover would be traveling. Average speed.
Yeah, I could fucking take it, dude. No, L. That's how fast it goes? Shit, that sucks, dude. I could outrun that shit. Any alien outruns that shit in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Nobody sees it.
It is about 6.7 centimeters per second. That's a nominal speed. They don't go too fast.
All right, I'm gonna go walk on simulated moon regolith. It looks like beach, and it feels like beach. This side is meant to simulate the surface of the moon, and this side is meant to be the surface of Mars. It is very sinky sand. Wheel is rolling along, hits a rock, and am I pushing into it, or do I want to get it on top?
I'd say get on top and just put all your body weight onto it.
That's basically my full weight on it.
The shape memory alloy is strong enough to support the weight of a vehicle or vehicle.
Bro, I'm not kidding. That's literally the same size of the extra part of the pothole that was on the fucking road off of the exit ramp on I-10 getting into La Cienega, the La Cienega exit. I'm not even joking. It's literally showing me. It's just straight up showing me that a better future is possible. Thank you to the government funding. Thank you to NASA. The only way to fucking dodge LA potholes is by buying titanium alloy, whatever the fuck it's called. Nitminium? Is that what it was? I already forgot the name of it too. Oh. Nitinol. Or they could just repair the roads. No, they can't do that. No. They can't. The Los Angeles Police Department needs more money. The LAPD needs more money. We can't fix the roads. Repairing the roads, what is this? Communist Russia? What is this? Communist China? What is this? Communist DPRK? No.
And just put all your body weight onto it.
That's basically my full weight on it.
The shape memory alloy is strong enough to support the weight of a vehicle or vehicle and crew.
Also, the irony is like a tire wouldn't pop if you did that. You have to hit it at speed. I mean, I know this is to show like it's how elastic it is and like the built-in suspension mechanism within the tire because of what they're using. But like if you put a tire on top of it and then laid on it, it wouldn't blow up either. Who needs spike strips when you got LA roads? Yeah.
But it's also incredibly flexible, so it can deform up to 8% without being permanently damaged. And that's what's needed for long space missions.
So that's a pretty good amount of deformation, right?
That's a great amount of deformation.
And still not beyond 8%.
It's so gooey. It's just walking back to the car after the beach. Tricky for a rover, right?
But these tires won't just be for space. They're also looking at terrestrial applications.
Most aircraft, the tires on those aircraft, they have to be pressurized to really, really high pressurizations, 300, 400 PSI, not the conventional 30 to 60 PSI you do in a car or truck tire, right? We have issues where at those huge pressurizations, they can explode. The other construct is maintenance, right? So if I'm a pneumatic tire and I'm relying on that pneumatics for the performance of the system, I have to always be checking the air pressure to make sure that I'm at the right inflation pressure so that I'm not burning too much fuel or I'm not at a place where I could potentially pop a tire because of the loads. By going to a structural system that doesn't rely...
There's no way you find yourself to be too dumb to understand this. Like, I'm a dumb guy. I'm the resident dumb guy here. And even I get it. It's pretty simple stuff. They have basically been able to find like a new... Here, I'll make it as accessible as possible. Big smart man at NASA find new metal that when contacting heat or extremely cold temperatures is able to change shape but come back to same shape after. Okay? It's able to come back to same shape after without any sort of deterioration or degradation. Like a rubber band. Space cold, metal handle cold good. Space warm, metal handle warm good too sometimes. That way, you avoid LA pothole by using metal tire. Metal tire has built-in suspension in it too.
Rely on air and is designed specifically for the application, all of those things go away.
They've tested one on a Jeep. Since it doesn't rely on pressurized air for support, you just can't get a flat tire.
That's sick.
Plus,
oh, everyone can suck my dick, by the way. Everyone was like, Hasan, you can't put this on a car. Oh, guess what, dude? Yeah, you can. They should have tested it on my Taycan, and then I should be able to keep it, okay?
It can never be underinflated, which significantly improves fuel economy. With a metal that works like magic, you can make airless tires that will take us off-road, on-road, into the air, and across other worlds. NASA's Nightingale tires are designed to last the entire lifetime of a rover mission, even on the rough terrain of Mars. But here on Earth, few products last a lifetime. From bike tires to phones to toothbrushes, pretty much everything wears out. But with Henson shaving,
it's called manufactured obsolescence, planned obsolescence. I think the issue is metal tires would murder the roads even more. Yeah, it's called libertarianism, sweaty. Libertarians absolutely fucking hate roads. So this way they